Welcome back, everyone, to our returning episode of Jets Flight Path. It's been a while, but we're back once again. I'm Brian. Joining me is my co-host Paul and our special guest, our good friend Nick Casucci, who is having some technical issues, but we'll bear with it. It has been, since I think May. I think maybe Paul, you did
No.
Paul, you did a
Um,
review or something since we
yeah,
were last
so the
on.
last video that we did was or I did was when the Philadelphia Eagles made the series of trades in that day, um,
Right,
the
right.
draft. And then since then, and it's crazy because I like how we say it's like a return or the new coming of the show.
D-
Meanwhile, we take 3 month breaks in between. It's we need to get better with our consistency.
this is the
But
fourth, I believe, the fourth iteration or fourth return.
installment.
It's it's a reboot. We're like
It's
the
like the
Spider-Man
new
series.
Price is Right. Oh,
It's
okay.
it's Spider-Man, whatever the new one's called. We're returning with Tobey Maguire and the other guy, and we're back again.
William Defoe.
Love to see it. All fresh, all new, same old Jets flight path. Um, Apologies for not being weekly episodic as we were in the past, but that will absolutely change going into next year. We were pretty consistent earlier this year, covering each
Well,
week
yeah.
through the
So
off season.
I think the biggest thing that changed was you had graduated from school.
Yes,
Congratulations to you there.
thank you.
And I was working weird shifts to cover for my job. So really,
Right.
the only time we could have done it was like we did it at like Friday at 11 p.m. It wouldn't be uploaded till Saturday. But yeah, now my days off are consistently Friday, Saturday, and then Brian, whatever works for you, we can always figure out a more
Yeah,
consistent time slot.
scheduling going forward, that's been, a thing that's been hindering this show previously, but hopefully not so much going forward. So to this point is we are past the halfway mark, and guess what, folks? The New York Jets, they stink. Who'd have thought, really? Um,
Uh,
I think everyone. This was. It's hard to say because they're 2-8 now, and those two victories have come over some of the better teams of the AFC still against the Tennessee Titans, even without in that game minus Julio Jones and AJ Brown. They still fought valiantly and came out with a W. And then the game you attended on was it Halloween or Halloween Eve?
it was Halloween night.
It was Halloween against the Cincinnati Bengals, a thriller, back and forth game. One of the more entertaining games, not even just a Jet game, just a football game that I've seen in quite some time. Uh, but then, in typical Jets fashion, with any expectations come crashing back down to earth as the Colts pummel them and embarrass them on Thursday Night Football in prime time. I'm so fucking tired of the Jets in prime time.
Uh,
This is a terrible
I'm
team, and
gonna
I don't want to see them anymore in prime time.
I'm gonna disagree with you there. I get it.
Mm.
I get where you're coming from with the blowout portion. So mainly the defense
That's what I'm
was
referring to.
garbage
The
at that game.
defense.
However, and I guess we can really segue right into it. Um, the expectations and our thoughts on the season so far. The Jets, when they've had their highs, they have been riding high, but at their lowest, they've been at their low. And the Colts game was a interesting assessment because the offense in that game with Josh Johnson at the helm,
Mm-hmm.
when he replaced Mike White, showed that this
Hall
team.
of Famer, Mike White, by the way.
Yes, I forgot. Hall of Famer Mike, uh, open parenthesis or open quotation, fucking close parentheses, White. Josh Johnson stepped in and really took command of an offense who was working with their third quarterback
Yeah.
in 3 weeks.
Threw
And,
like three touchdowns.
towards the end, he threw 3 touchdowns, and they brought it back pretty close in the end, but it wasn't enough. There's a lot of positives to say about the offense. There's a lot of positives to say about the defense. The coaching staff is a little bit wishy-washy. However, the adjustments are being made, and I don't know about you, Brian, but I am so tired of seeing these three types of Jets fans on Twitter
Mm.
and just in general. You have your obvious beat writers like Connor Hughes and Rich Cimini, who it doesn't matter what happened. Zach Wilson can cure cancer. The headline will be Wilson cures cancer, destroys a $10 billion industry. What else?
Rich Cimini, ESPN, New York.
Yeah, the worst fucking headlines ever. You have your baby boomer Jet fans who are, I've been a fan of this team for 55 years,
Oh yeah,
and I'm done. Zach Wilson is just
it's
another
already over.
quarterback
Yep.
in the corral. And then you have your third Jet fan who is just like, there's no patience. Oh, fire Salah, get rid of JD,
Yeah,
get rid of it.
fire LaFleur already. Like
Yeah,
there's one thing in having, especially early in the season, with LaFleur when he was on the sidelines and the offense was kind of unimaginative, and then we see really it opened up in that Cincinnati game what this offense can be if the quarterback just takes the easy throws. And but also the key thing is LaFleur going in the booth, which is where he belongs as an offensive coordinator. They hire, I forget who it was. They hired to on the offensive to be on the sidelines to talk to the quarterback to replace LaFleur in that regard. But LaFleur needs to be in the booth so he can see the entire field and call a better game. Because there has been some questionable calls early in the season where it's like, all right, second and long, and you're pulling an Adam Gase and you're running it up the middle for a yard or just no gain. That doesn't really compute in today's NFL. You need to take your shots,
right.
but what Mike White showed and what Josh Johnson showed, and even what Flacco showed a bit, is that take the easy throws if they're there. If they're wide open, this offense specifically, it's similar, not in style, but like a Josh McDaniels offense up in New England. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback, guys are going to get schemed to open. And there will be guys open.
Less
You
and
just,
more.
yeah, that key point there. Guys are going to get open. You need patience, and Zach Wilson, he's a rookie. He wants to launch the ball, and he certainly can. We've seen him like make crazy throws, but he needs. I think this is similar, or going to be similar, hopefully, with Zach Wilson returning this week against Houston. We'll see how he performs, but
I think he's going to do great because honestly, this is what they should have did at the very beginning of the season and not rush him into the fire. But the thing is, we didn't really have a veteran presence until after he got hurt. Then we got Flacco back, and then they're like, you know what? Maybe we should see what we have when he does sit. And then they kind of like made sure his injury gets better before they rushed him back out there, which is completely fine. But I just felt like they should have sat him at the beginning of the year, even if it's for 2 games,
mm,
3 games. That's to me is how a young quarterback's gonna learn. If you look at the
uh,
last few good young quarterbacks in the league, they did sit for a little bit. Like you look at Justin Herbert, you look at even guys like Deshaun Watson. These guys sat for
they
about
sat for
three
like a
weeks, two
game.
weeks.
Like Herbert sat
I
for
mean,
like 2 games. Like I don't think it really mattered. Watson sat for like half a quarter until they realized, oh no, Brock Osweiler is not it, and then they threw Watson in there. Baker started right away, and he had a great rookie year, and everyone was gassing Baker after his rookie year. We could talk about luck. We could talk about RG3. Every quarterback's different. People want the ideal of, okay, draft a quarterback, have him sit behind your already star, similar to Rodgers and Favre, but that just does not happen. These guys have to get playing time. However, I think this is a similar path to Sam Darnold's rookie year, where he struggled out of the gate, got hurt. McCown came in, showed him, hey, this is how you do it, kid. For those couple weeks he was out. Then he came back, and Darnold was going toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers in his rookie year. Obviously, things went south after that rookie year, but I think for Wilson, he has a better offensive line than Darnold has ever had right now, because we could talk about, and we'll get into the individuals later, but like AVT is one of the best not only just rookie offensive linemen, but best left guards in the game, in my opinion, already. He has better weapons. It's just, I think, unlike Darnold, Wilson just needs to be patient and just. I've said this before to like both of you, where with other young quarterbacks coming out of college, the issue is that yeah, they can make all the short intermediate throws, but they struggle, on the deeper passes because of adjusting to the pro level. But yet with Wilson, it's weird because it's opposite. Like we see him make these crazy throws to Denzel Mims when he plays, or Elijah Moore. These crazy out routes on the sidelines, and he just fits in a tight window. It's like that. That's why he was drafted number 2 overall. But then he looks like Bryce Petty, who never played in the rain and can't hit, a running back in the flat and throws at his feet. It's the most absurd thing I've ever seen, and hopefully we see starting with this Houston game, some improvement in Wilson.
I mean, that would be nice. I mean, I just kind of hope that from this point forward, we see some improvement from the team. I want them to compete. I don't care if we lose out. I just want them to have competitive football because, like, bringing in a defensive-minded head coach, and we're ranked 32nd in the league in run defense. I mean, that's just awful. But again, I understand we're going to have growing pains. I don't think that solves the issue. Joe Douglas has done a great job drafting. We're going to have a ton of cap space. We're going to have 2 early picks with ours, and thank you, Seattle, for shit in the bed this year with Russell Wilson and his finger issue. And I hope Jamal Adams is happy that he went to a better situation, even though he only has one more win than the Jets do. And then we have our second-round pick, along with Carolina's, who's going to probably be around 500 this year, which is all right. We'll pick in the middle of the second round. But we're going to
traded
build
a second and a fourth-round
culture.
pick for Sam Darnold, and everyone clowned the Jets for that. Oh, I just love it.
I feel like we just got to build momentum from this point on, see how Zach grows with the offense, see how Elijah Moore picks up where he left off with all these other quarterbacks, the carousel of quarterbacks that have been playing with Elijah Moore that he's been doing great with. I hope Zach sat down and learned under these guys, and he just kind of picks up where they left off, and he just plays decent football. Nothing crazy, nothing, like a wow factor. We got some easier matchups coming up on the season, like Texans this week. We're going to have Miami, even though it's a divisional game. And then we're going to have Jacksonville. Hopefully that kind of like builds some confidence in them heading into the following season.
Yeah, I was just going to add, going back to Joe Douglas, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to say in the past 30 years, the best GM the Jets have had as far as evaluating talent, being able to swindle for deals. I will say the draft picks he has made have made an immediate impact. Now I get it, in the top of the rounds, the first and second. But you look at his later picks, Bryce Hall, a 5th-round steal, projected to be a first-round cornerback, picked him up in the 5th round. Michael Carter, who is, I would say, the heart and soul of this offense.
Both Michael Carters, you can argue.
They were both 4th and 5th round picks.
Brandon Eccles too.
Quincy Williams, he picks up off of the waiver wire. Quentin Williams' brother, who in the absence of C.J. Mosley was kicking everybody's ass. He looked like a fantastic linebacker. And so now you're the Jets. You have the youngest team
also,
in the
we're
NFL.
missing Davis.
Yes. Yeah. So
and
now
Carl Lawson. Those are 2 big blows.
Yeah. I mean, the pass rush has been decent. John Franklin Myers, another great pickup. He picked up from L.A. He just extended. The pieces are there, and he's building through the trenches like everybody said he was going to. And and you were starting to see the dividends,
You can
and you
see
give it another year or so.
the thought process, and I do appreciate like there's a plan in place, and you can clearly see that the type of guys the Jets have targeted in the draft and free agency under Douglas. It's been guys who are leaders in college, who are former captains, or whoever, who are good people off the field, just as they're good players on the field. Guys like that, to bring a better culture into the locker room, to hopefully form a winning culture eventually. All these guys, but we have to be fair with also there has been criticism of Joe Douglas. It's not like all, roses and everything. Because right now that Corey Davis signing, it's looking like Justin McCarron's 2.0. I mean, it's we have a lot.
And,
We have Elijah
and
Moore.
It's
We
always
have
good for one bad signing.
yeah, that seems to be the case no matter who is the GM or whoever's
Yeah,
running
exactly.
things.
and
It's
really, I can't really blame him for the Corey Davis signing. The Jets had the opportunity to get Dunny. They had the opportunity to get some high key or high marquee free agents, and however, when you're the New York Jets and you're coming off of an Adam Gase era where it was just putrid and your front office is garbage, your owners are garbage, it's going to be pretty hard to get some guys that are high key signings to come in. And so he had to make do with what he did. And, luckily he drafted Elijah Moore, and he's got Crowder still. Maybe you can get him back on a deal. You
I
have
don't
some
think that's
depth pieces
happening.
at receiver. I would love
I
to
love
see it, but
Jamison Crowder because I think he's still one of the better slot receivers in the game. He helps
mhm.
any young quarterback out, whatever team. The question has always been his ability to stay on the field, but asking him to take $5 million pay cut in his final year, they're just going to let him walk. I feel like him and Marcus
Yeah.
May will not be Jets next year. But I, I want to get
As
your
long as we can get Jesse Bates, that'd be nice as a replacement. He's a
possibly or
free
maybe
agent
through
out
the
there.
draft. Uh, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on just the coaching in general, because like as Kasuchi pointed before, the Jets are 32nd against the run. Now, all my years of watching Jets football, the one consistency through the up and down years have been they're able to stop the run. You will not run on them, no matter what. You may pass all over them, but you cannot run on this Jets defensive front. Now, I think a big thing is them switching from 3-4 to the 4-3 defense. It may take a year to adjust and everything, but this is just really bad. The defensive scheme or lack thereof, because I
I
believe
mean,
it
David
was
Johnson might get 20 fantasy points this week against the Jets.
that's scary. That's not good. I don't believe it was this past game or the game before where the Jets just refused to like switch off. Like Bryce Hall just played one side of the field, and Bryce Hall's just been fantastic. He should be a Pro Bowler and possibly even an All Pro. Like Paul mentioned, what a great find by Douglas. But if Bryce Hall
Fantastic.
is going to be a true lockdown corner, the defense needs to be a bit more flexible and allow him to shadow a number one. Whereas before they, I believe it was against Buffalo, it was Diggs lining up against who was it? It wasn't Guidry. It was Dunn. I think Isaiah Dunn, and like twice in the red zone, he got burned. Why not just move Hall and have him shadow? Stuff like
Yeah,
that.
they shouldn't just make him a Richard Sherman and just lock down one side of the field. They should have him follow best receivers available no matter where they
Right.
go.
I see like there is some growing pains, obviously, with a coaching staff, especially a new, head coach and everything. We see that with the time management issue that where they were going to go for on like fourth down, they took a delay of game penalty, stuff like that. And then also, you could say early in the year with Mims coming back from the food poisoning he got throughout training camp, working his way back, and he only knows uh, the one position well. Well, wouldn't you want to be flexible as a coaching staff? Like all the great coaches, the reason they're great coaches, whether it's Belichick or Peyton or Harbaugh or Tomlin or Andy Reid, whoever, is their ability to adapt. Shouldn't you get Denzel Mims, who, to me, every time I see him get the football, he's like Braylon Edwards. He makes plays happen. He's a good football player. Wouldn't you want him on the field more so than, I don't know, Braxton Berrios or Vincent Smith or Jeff Smith or whomever? Like, I get it. He's struggling with the
That's
playbook.
just the most mind-boggling thing
But
I can't understand
you
about
drafted this
this guy.
guy in the second round last year. I understand he's not part of Salah and everything, but it feels to me that they're just writing off the 2020 NFL draft as, oh, okay. The same thing, we haven't seen LaMichael Pirine all year, even though he may not fit the scheme and everything. I'd rather you
Might
run
need him
the
this week with no Michael Carter.
maybe, or they'll just stick with Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson and whoever else. But like,
That's what I don't get. Like we're 2-8, all right. Obviously, Ty Johnson should be getting a bulk of the carries, but Tevin Coleman was just there to mentor. Like he knew the system.
yeah,
He came from the Shanahan office. There's no reason to play him.
it would
Like
be, it's like
let's see
Frank Gore
some
last
P-Rod.
year. There's no reason.
Exactly.
Like, you should see what you have in these young players. Even if they don't fit the scheme, you can
We have
utilize
nothing to
them.
lose. We're two
And
and eight.
that's true. But like, you can use a guy like P. Ryan in a goal line situation, who we saw in preseason, and a lot of people projected that P. Ryan won't make the 53-man roster. But I saw it. Paul did as well, with like him in short yardage and everything. He's a bowling ball. He'll get the first down or the touchdown. Like, I think P. Ryan's a solid player. It just seems that last year's draft is just of no concern to the current coaching staff. This year's draft is shaping up to be fantastic with, AVT and Moore and everyone else, Eccles and Carter, of course. But it seems,
AVT might be the steal of like the draft. Like the trading up, it makes it look like that was a great thing to do because I mean
oh,
this
so what
guy,
me and
you
Paul
put
told
some
you and
tape on him.
Anthony Arana on draft night, bet.
I mean, yeah, losing two third round picks though definitely did hurt, but AVT is literally dragging guys off the field. Have you seen any video or tape on this guy? He's like the whistle is blown and
I
he's riding guys out of bounds, like onto the bench. Like
I
he is just
trust Joe
manhandling
Douglas
people.
when it comes to offensive linemen, being that he was an offensive lineman. And, this is his MO in Baltimore and in Philadelphia and everything. And I think the best thing, and underrated so far, he only played one game, looked pretty solid, was the trade for Duvernay from Kansas City, former Pro Bowler, and they get him for a third string tight end. That's fantastic. He's already.
Who Kansas City just cut.
Oh, did they really? Daniel Brown?
Yeah.
Wow. Good job, Chiefs.
We might just pick him up and put him in the practice squad.
Well,
We just did that with James Morgan's actually.
I saw that in the great coming home video I saw on Twitter for James Morgan.
Nice
the,
Hail Mary.
the highlight reel.
Kenny Uboa.
But it's just like, already we have possibly our answer heading into 2022 at right guard. And really, you hope Becton can get healthy. You would have the left tackle, left guard situation locked up, right guard locked up. Morgan Moses, I think, he tried, but 1-year deal. Maybe you just bring back Fant and move him back to the right side. But Jets will definitely go offensive lineman in the draft. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What are you guys' thoughts in general on both coaching? LaFleur on the offense, Ulbrich, the defense coordinator, just Robert Saleh and his coaching staff in general.
Yeah, it's like any rookie. Coaches are no different. They have to come in, becoming a head coach from a defensive coordinator and an offensive assistant to becoming an offensive coordinator. It's a big change. And so I like how Saleh made LaFleur do the few games on the sideline, saw that it wasn't for him. Now he's in the booth, and now he's got a better feel for the offense. It's flowing. And Saleh said it himself. It's a growing pain, and the Jets were never projected to be a playoff team this year. Granted, we had them at 7-10, 6-11. That's just optimism, but they have a lot of young talent who are making an immediate impact. Our coaching staff is starting to gel and come together, and you have a GM who will get you the players you need. There's no problem with that. I would say, you have another good draft. You have a decent offseason. Salah's got another year under his belt. There's no reason why the Jets can't contend for that third wild card spot. I mean, you look at New England. New England fucking signed everybody this past offseason. They drafted
under the
Mac
radar
Jones.
guys
They put
too.
him in
If you really look at that,
yeah.
like
I
they
mean,
didn't really
he
sign a big
he's
name. Like I mean, Hunter Henry, maybe that's it.
And
Maybe
Matt
Matthew
Judon.
Judon on defense. Yeah, like but other than that, like
yeah.
Nelson Aguilar, like they're not really getting guys that are like, whoa, look out for the Patriots this year. They just got guys that fit the system,
But
and it
yeah,
worked.
and that's Mac Jones to a T. You look at him. Oh, he's rookie of the year. I mean, the kid's throwing. No, don't get me wrong. He's playing well. He's playing okay, but 225 yards, 21 for 28, 2 touchdowns. Okay,
I mean, every
that's great.
pass
Great
is like
Bill Belichick
4 to
system.
10 yards.
Yeah, it's a dink and dunk system. Yeah, it's exactly what Tom Brady made his career off of, and they found another quarterback that can do that. Will he be as good as Brady? Probably not. But can he be an effective quarterback for New England for the next 15 years? Absolutely. But that's just how New England operates, and I think the Jets are starting to realize that. And as long as the Johnsons just stay out of the affairs, I don't see why the Jets can't be a playoff team or playoff contender starting next year.
Yeah, no, I agree.
For me, with the coaching staff is I like Robert Saleh. I like how he gets energized. I love how he gets pumped up, like when the Jets do something good. But I want to see a little bit more fight from him when like a call doesn't go our way or like we mess up on the field. It just kind of seems like he just stands there and just absorbs it. And maybe he talks to him in the locker room. Maybe he talks to him like individually after practice or during practice the next day. But like, there's nothing on the field that shows me like he's that passionate about like when they mess up. Like it doesn't seem like he has their back as much as like when they do something good. I kind of want to see him get a little bit more excited or like yelling at them or the ref or somebody to show a little bit more passion that way. That's my only criticism
Well,
on Salah.
I
But
will
for
say though,
LaFleur, I think he's fantastic. I think like obviously, mind you, let's be honest. He was never a coordinator. Like this is his first crack at this. So like obviously like you're on a team that like you have a brand new rookie quarterback. You have weapons and you're trying to implement a whole new system. And now you have a little bit more veterans in there at your quarterback position other than Mike White, and they're running their offense. The Jets, since week 8, are the highest ranked, number one most yards offense in the NFL for the last 2 to 3 weeks. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy NFL, but I mean, the numbers don't lie, and the Jets are putting up like yards right now, which means they're moving the ball, they're getting efficient. Defensively,
For
I mean,
once in a
I really
lifetime, it's
thought.
the Jets' defense that's the issue and not the offense.
Yeah, that's where like I'm thinking where did we go wrong? Like we built this team to at least try to make it easier. Like okay, obviously we got Carl Lawson in the trade, and then in free agency, and Shaq Lawson was via trade, and I thought like while obviously we didn't expect that Lawson would blow his Achilles, but I thought that they're going to get pressure on the quarterback with Franklin Myers and Quincy Williams, and the secondary wouldn't have to do as much to obviously because the pass rush will get to the quarterback sooner. But it just seems like our D line is just I don't know, like you said, Brian earlier, that we went from a 3-4 to a 4-3 now, and we're just not gelling. It's a whole new coaching staff trying to implement a new system. But, I mean, I'm going to need to see something. Otherwise, I mean, maybe Salah might have to go into a different direction with a different defensive coordinator. Maybe he might need to start calling plays himself and take a little more initiative in that. But that's my only, like, criticism I would have on the coaching staff as of right now. And the praise, I would say, too, because I think, we do see some good things out there. I mean, even Rex Ryan, like, he got up there and ripped Robert Saleh on the media. And apparently, like the next day, like he did like a complete 360. He's like, oh, and you know what? I sat down with Coach Saleh or talked to him on the phone, and all of a sudden, like he said, the Jets have a plan. Jet fans, be patient. Like you guys are getting something that's gonna really come together eventually. It's just not gonna be now, but once you guys get everything flowing, it's going to work out in the end. So it was kind of refreshing actually hearing that from Rex Ryan.
Well, yeah, it seems to me that, like I said before, there and you guys touched on that there's an actual plan in place. It's not like last year or the last like 3 years, 3 seasons with the Jets. The Adam Gase 2 seasons and Bowles last year, like being a lame duck coach, where it's just misery and there's no direction, and you just know like they're just spinning their wheels, so to speak. Here, like you can see obviously, and we'll get into that shortly, the bright spots, the individual players standing out. We can see like the offense actually looking like a real 21st century offense, which is nice to see. It's just, it takes some time. I don't believe that Robert Saleh is a one and done head coach.
No.
I,
Urban Meyer
Not for a 5-year contract. No fucking way.
no, not either that. But it's just, I think patience is the key. And I mean, we're Jets fans, plenty of patience. It has worn thin, no doubt about it. But you just got, I say, next year is a year where you can start having expectations. But moving on, let's go to a little bit more positive here and talk about our three standouts, our three stars on both the offense and defensive side of the ball. I'll just go ahead and name my three, and then you guys can name your three for each side and go more in depth. But I'll just say for the offense has to be Elijah Moore. Started off slow, and people were starting to question early on, like, what's going on with Moore? They're not even using him. Can he even get on the field? How good is he? But like the past 4 weeks, he's just been on fire. And as Suji mentioned with the quarterback carousel, he already has like over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he could have a shot.
More impressive
At like
to me, the fact he's doing it with like garbage quarterbacks.
yeah, and like he could have a shot at 1,000 yards, even though like the season's coming to a close. But it's just so impressive for a rookie receiver because typically, rookie receivers don't do what Justin Jefferson did last year, or OBJ in his rookie year. They struggle. They struggle mightily to adjust, or they hit a wall, so to speak. But Elijah Moore seems to be, coming on and getting it now of late. Also, another star for me on offense would be Michael Carter. For reasons previously mentioned, he looks like the bell cow back, quote unquote, in this offense, which is, they will interchange. Even if they go in next year, let's just say no Tevin Coleman, and the two primary backs are Carter and Ty Johnson, it'll be like an 80-20 split, something like that. But Carter's going to feast in this offense as long as he's able to stay healthy, and hopefully he'll bounce back in 2 to 3 weeks and be back to his normal self. And my third star, another rookie. Again, this draft class hopefully, might just be the best Jets draft class since 2006 with Mangold and Ferguson. But my third star would be Elijah Vera Tucker. The man is a beast. So what are you guys 3 stars on the offense? Then we'll hit the defense.
Well, I'm going to make this short and sweet. Brian, you have named all the stars that are my 3 stars.
Oh,
I mean,
great minds.
There's this crazy stat that I was reading on Twitter. Michael Carter and Elijah Moore in their rookie years have combined for more yards than all of Mike McCagnon's skill player position. And that includes Quincy and Moonlaw, fucking Peak, receiver Peak.
Darius Stewart.
Darius Stewart.
Chad Hansen.
They have more touchdowns. They have more touchdowns between the two of them in the 20 games combined than the skill players that McCagnon drafted in like 220. Like it's insane. 220 games, they had like 7 touchdowns. Carter Williams and Elijah Moore already have 8. Like it's night and day. And people who call for JD's head are just out of their freaking minds. But yeah, I have nothing really else to say. Just, I mean, you pretty much summarized it all up with your explanation. So
Kasuchi.
I'll yield the floor to Kasuchi.
I mean, how can we not mention Mike White? Come on,
Wow,
guys.
that
We got
is.
Mike White. I mean, the 1 week wonder. I mean, come on. He was the light and day of the New York Jets. We
And,
were calling for
and
Jeremy Lin 2.0. No, but in a more serious note, definitely. I mean, it's funny because all these three guys are all rookies, and
Mhm.
you love to see the production right away and see some potential. But you know what? These guys are like they're gelling too. Not even if it's not on the field, there's private interviews like with Michael Carter I was looking at, and he was like, I talked to Elijah Moore. Like we can't wait. Like we really want to be here. Like we want to be Jets. We want to make this work with this team. Like, and
Yeah,
that's
they're
so
buying in.
refreshing to hear. You're right. They're so refreshing to hear that, like, not only they're buying into each other and encouraging each other to play better and do better, like, they're obviously buying into the style of way of no gas, no all gas, no brakes. So with that being said, I mean, honestly, I mean, Corey Davis hasn't really been on the field much, at least in recently. He puts up numbers, but I mean, it's nothing too great. It's just because he's technically the number one option. Uh, Crowder's great for the slot, but again, like he missed time this year. But he's always effective when he's on the field. You got to have respect for him. I mean, the tight end position, I mean, we can't even say anything about it because, I mean, we don't have one really. We
Yeah,
don't get any production from the tight end position. Becton's been out most of the year. So, like, yeah, like the stars you named, the three standouts are the only ones that are impactful, really. Like, I mean, and what can you say?
but it's
They're
good.
they're
It's
all
good that
playing
it's
well.
all rookies. Yeah, so we all agree on that. But I think there may be some discrepancy on the defensive side of the ball for three stars so far this season. For me, I would just say it would be Quincy Williams, a linebacker that
shocking.
Joe Douglas picked up, who just flies around and just levels players. And he's been a solid pickup. Like I think he'll be back next year, but I don't think he'll be a consistent. I don't think he'll be a starter. But he is a great depth piece, and add some life to this defense so far that's struggled mightily this year. Uh, Another star. I mean, come on, Bryce Hall is already forming into a shutdown corner. The man just like nobody throws his way. He has over like 6 pass deflections already or 7, something crazy like that. He's not even challenged because he locks down whoever he's on. It's just hopefully they can, instead of having him play the one side of the field, move him around a bit going forward. And then the third star, I personally would say Brandon Eccles. What we all thought would be the downfall of the Jets defense heading into the season being the secondary in general has actually been not too bad. The safeties have
Quite
been,
successful.
yeah, especially with the young corners, because it's not only like I highlight Hall and Eccles because they stood out most to me, but guys like Javelin Guidry have been playing well. Michael Carter, another draft pick from this year, has been playing really, really well. The front seven obviously needs some work, but heading into this offseason, really not so much the secondary, other than I would say definitely safety, because they're going to have to replace Marcus May. So those would be my three stars: Quincy Williams, Bryce Hall, and Brandon Eccles. What do you guys? Who are you guys' 3 stars?
So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say again, first star for me, Quincy Williams. I've already explained why earlier. He's just what a great signing pickup
Mm-hmm.
by JD. When he's out there, he makes a impact for himself, or impact plays, makes a name for himself, and he strikes fear in the hearts of running backs. Second star is Bryce Hall, again lockdown corner. Pretty much the same reason that you gave. My third star, however, I would say would be his brother, Quincy Williams' brother. Fuck him.
Quinnen.
Jesus Christ. Quentin, yeah, Jesus Christ. Quincy and Quentin. Great way to name your sons with Q's. He's really come into his own this year as far as getting pressure on the quarterback, being a decent run stopper. I think he already has 6 sacks on the year. I would
Yeah.
have included John Franklin Meyer. after that one game that he had. I think he had like 3 sacks in one game. However,
Yep.
after the extension, he's calmed down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Still a great player though, but hopefully he can kick it into gear in the second half of the year. But those are my 3 stars.
Yeah, I'm almost on the same boat with you guys, but I'm going to go a little bit different. I think a name to be mentioned is Michael Carter on the defensive side of the ball. I think
Yep.
he's impressed. I think, again, that's another great draft pick by Joe Douglas, especially in the later rounds to grab someone like him. And I think he complements the secondary very well. He gets his hands on a lot of passes. He covers a lot of ground out there. I'm very impressed by him. A name that we should mention is definitely C.J. Mosley. He is just
Yeah.
a pretty. I mean, for a guy that sat out all last year, we thought he
He's
got the
been out for
money,
2
he
years
got hurt.
basically.
Right? Yeah, pretty much. He got the money, he got hurt, and then he sat out for COVID. He didn't want to be a Jet, but you know what? He came in under Saleh, and he is like. I mean, there was a play this year where he literally called an audible and made a perfect play. I mean, like that just takes leadership, and that's someone you need on a defense that's young.
Yep.
And I really loved his leadership this year and helping these younger guys out.
For better or
And then,
worse, he will be here in the next probably 2 seasons with that contract. So
yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, if you're going to get paid, you might as well be on the field and be productive. God bless him because we're going to need him if we're going to take our defense to another level. And I'm going to have to go Quincy Williams because I mean, Andre, we grabbed him from the Jaguars. He was pretty much just picked up by the Jets. And next thing you know, like he's just implemented into the starting lineup and he's forcing fumbles.
yeah.
He's flying, like making plays in the backfield. He was not this kind of player. I don't know if it's because like he's trying to impress his brother. Like, hey, if you get 3 tackles in the back for tackles for losses, I'm gonna up you. I don't know if they got like a side bet going on or whatever, but man, he's playing like he really wants a contract extension with the Jets, and God bless him because we're gonna. I would love to have him back next year because he's
Oh,
playing
most
out of his
definitely.
mind this year.
Yeah, he's certainly earned it with his play uh, to at least have a shot at the 53 man next year. But yeah, those are some standouts, both sides of the ball. Some hope for the future with the Jets and things to look forward to as the season goes along. And speaking of which, what are our thoughts collectively for the Jets' rest of the season schedule? Obviously, they play in Houston coming up. Should be a winnable game. Honestly, all their games, perhaps the exception of their game against the Tampa Bay Bucks, should be winnable. I will include the Buffalo Bills because personally I think they're frauds. They're still the Bills to me. Um, Remember who picked the Pats to win the division, but they play Houston, they play the Eagles, New Orleans, Miami again, Jacksonville, the battle of the number 1 and 2 pick, Tampa Bay, and Buffalo. What are you guys' thoughts on the Jets' record by the end of the year and how they finish these last couple games?
Well, the first half of their schedule, and it seems like it's consistent, but they always have the first half of the schedule is always the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, again, like you said, you just named some bottom feeder teams: Eagles, Texans. I think we play Miami again, Buffalo. So there's some opportunities to get at least a few wins there. I think they end the season with 5 wins. I think they pulled
Ooh,
3 wins out. But really, all I care about, going into the end of the year is consistency and improvement. Zach Wilson coming back from that knee injury, he had a month off. Okay, this is what I did right in my first few games. This is what I did wrong. Got to see what Mike White did, how Josh Johnson approached the game, Flacco talk, go from there. Um, so really, that's all I care about. I couldn't care less about wins anymore because obviously
mm-hmm.
2-8, 2-8 is 2-8. But if they can put together a few wins, because I'm so sick and tired of drafting in the top 5. There's only so many impact players you can get before it's just like, all right, well, you got the impact players. It's time to start winning.
Yeah,
And I mean, they have tons of impact players. I mean, we've already seen it on the offense and defense. It's time to start winning and improving. And I think they beat Miami the second go around. I think they beat Jacksonville, and I think they win this Sunday against Houston.
All right. Nick, your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I think they can even beat the New Orleans Saints. I think that they're a little banged up right now. Their quarterback situation is just not good. I mean, they could barely move the ball last night against the Buffalo Bills. I think the Jets can finish with 6 wins, and I think that
Wow.
that confidence, yeah, I think that confidence is going to build, and they're going to start gelling. And a full off season now with like Zach Wilson. I think he's going to pull these guys to the side and say, you know what, guys, let's go out there in June, July, and let's run some routes. Let's get this chemistry going. And he's going to build something spectacular with the Jets. I think Zach Wilson, it's just only begun. Now that he sat behind guys like Mike White and even Joe Flacco last week, he even said himself, watching Mike White kind of made me think, all right, yeah, let me just take what's there. He not to do too much. And that's big to see someone like that, like own up to his mistakes. That
Watching a veteran
they're
quarterback
encouraging each other,
control the
right?
offense.
Yep. And I think like to what Paul was saying, I think that all they need to do is compete. Look at the Lions. I mean, the Lions are in every single football game. I think they might have blown out like once this year, but other than that, like for some reason, they love to play for Dan Campbell. I want that to be the Jets. I just want to see, even if we lose and we end up winning another one game this year, or maybe even two, we end up getting 3 or 4 wins in a year. But as long as we can say, you know what, we played hard against the Bills the second time around and not get blown out. We played hard against the Buccaneers. No one expects us to win, but did we play hard? Did we compete to the best? We obviously don't have enough talent as they do, but do we compete? Do we look like we
Yeah.
belong in the?
It's one thing to just get beat because the other team is just simply better. Like, obviously, with that Tampa Bay game on the horizon, nobody would dare pick the Jets or expect the Jets at all to win. But as the saying goes, any given Sunday, nobody really thought the Jets would be able to beat Tennessee or Cincinnati, and they were able to do that. It's just, like you guys said, you don't want to see the same mistakes that were made early in the season, late in the season. You want to have some good momentum heading into the offset season, heading into the 2022 season for the Jets. You want them to not beat themselves. They're going to get beat by a better team because they have better players and whatnot, but don't make dumb mistakes. Don't get all these penalties or missed tackles and stuff like that. Play up to snuff, and that's really all you can ask for. Like you guys mentioned, like could see a couple wins, but just be competitive. But with all that said, this upcoming game in Houston, Texas, Jets at the Texans. What are our thoughts on the game? Predictions? What are you guys thinking?
I think we're going to win. I really do. I
Houston's
think
been a very, very weird team.
you look at Houston and it's just like I don't even know where to begin with this team. Like they have a 3-4 running backs that just get thrown in there. They just released Philip Lindsay. They got Rex Burkhead, David Johnson. They have no run game at all. I mean, Tyrod Taylor won the game last week against the same Tennessee Titans that we beat. For some reason, they can beat all the top end teams in the league, but they can't beat the worst teams in the league. Go figure for the Titans. But you look at the Jets heading into the Texans game. I think that Zach Wilson finally getting back healthy. They're going up against Tyrod Taylor. He only had 100 yards passing, and a team that doesn't really run the ball good against our terrible run defense. I don't think that's really going to be an issue. So I feel like we have a good chance to win this week, and it would feel good for Zach Wilson to come back out there and get that early W, rather than try to get stressed out that he's not playing well, or worried he's going to get benched again, or go out with an injury. I think just going out there playing carefree now. The season's over. He doesn't really have to do too much, and I just think he's going to play a lot more loose the second half of the season. So I got the Jets winning.
I think it's going to be a competitive game between Houston and the Jets. Two, not so good teams building for the future. But as Nick said here, like I think the Jets will be able to pull out a victory. I think the return of Zach Wilson, people have mentioned it, at least for fantasy terms. Would this hinder Elijah Moore? I don't believe so. I think the Jets offense is going to keep it moving and everything. It's just a matter of that defense. Can the defense stop Tyrod Taylor? We'll see this Sunday, but I think the Jets end up winning like 21-17, something like that. And start to build something positive with this team. So we'll see. With that, we kind of covered everything so far on our return episode, on our sixth annual return of Jets Flight Path. Paul, if you just want to send us out.
All right, so for Brian and Nick, I am Paul. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to this podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Jets Flight Path. We will be back next Friday. Promise you that. And we will give you a recap of the Texans game, reviews on individual play as far as how Zach Wilson did and others, and give our thoughts going ahead to the following week against Miami. So thanks again for listening.